Ready for Monday Mortgage Minute with your hosts, Tom McNamara and Bruce Woodburn.
All right, Bruce.
How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Doing awesome. How are you today?
Couldn't be better, my friend. Couldn't be better. All right, let's get down to business and let
Absolutely.
people know what's going on out here in this market. First of all, how was your activity on the weekend? Good, bad, or flat?
It was surprisingly good. I had an open house. I did an open house in Longwood, and I want to say there were about 10 open houses in the same neighborhood. Sable
Wow.
Point, great neighborhood, and everywhere I drove, there were open house signs all over the place. So got pretty decent activity in there. Surprising number of buyers looking to actually execute and buy. And I put somebody under contract on a different house, not the one that I showed at the open, but I got somebody under contract on one. So
Well, generally, those open houses are to help the seller with getting feedback on what people are saying,
absolutely,
seeing what the temperature is. The chances on actually finding a buyer that's going to buy that house are generally remote, but it can happen.
it can happen. It has happened. Probably when it happened the most was when the market was just absolutely crazy.
Excuse
Bless
me.
you. And we would put every house under contract within a few days anyway. So that was the time when, you did sell them at an open house just because that's the only time anybody ever saw it.
That's
So,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But normally that's not the case. Normally it helps. It helps get feedback, and it helps. Honestly, it helps the realtor generate leads.
Well, I for my listeners, I host 3 radio shows, 2 on Saturday, one on WDBO 580 AM, one on 102.5 FM in Tampa, and then Sunday on WDBO at 11 o'clock. My show was preempted for the attempted assassination of
Oh,
President Trump. So we'll be having to replay that show. But yes, it was preempted. My thoughts and prayers are there for for President Trump and for the family that lost their father of children, and other people were seriously injured. And all it takes is one goofy idiot to screw everything up.
yep,
Um,
yep. But
boy,
hopefully hopefully it helps the country move forward. So.
well,
But anyway, so yeah, good weekend of activity, and I've heard. Well, actually, I was wondering what was going on with Hometown Heroes.
we got about $64 million left out of 100 million. So we've used up about $35 million of it in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So you do the math on that. So that should give us about 4 more weeks at this pace.
yeah. 4 more weeks. We might last 5. You never know. We'll see how things go. But that's interesting because I thought it was going to go a little bit faster than that. So, but we'll see. We'll see how the next
So
few weeks
hometown
go.
heroes for those, listen, if you make $132,000 or less a year, you may qualify. You have to be a first-time home buyer, but a first-time home buyer just means that you have not owned a primary residence for the last 36 months. And
Yep.
then you have to have a credit score of 640 or above. So
Yep.
if
Yep.
you meet those guidelines, you very well may be able to get 5% of the loan amount towards your closing costs, prepaid escrows, and down payment. So
Yeah, it's a
it's a
great
great.
program. It's helped. I've used it several times. Got one closing this week.
We got one right now. We got locked in, and they're going to be closing shortly.
Yep, absolutely. So great program. Hey, you were telling me over the weekend about USDA.
Yeah,
Um,
USDA just
changes.
raised their income limits. So I did send you a chart. We can put that on the website for
Great.
county limits. Obviously, it goes by county limits and household size. So the more people in your home, the more money you can make. But on a family of 4, that's 2 adults that make 212, 450 or less. Then they can go 0 down payment. Now,
Yeah. So USDA, I always found it funny, or I found it funny when I first learned about USDA loans, because I'm like, aren't those the people that inspect our beef and stuff, right? But so, and it is,
They
it's
were
the
the
same
purple
people.
stamp on the steak.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same people, right? So, the property has to be in a designated rural area. But what I found here in Florida, especially in Central Florida, is it's kind of fun because there's places that are designated rural USDA that are suburban,
You better
and
believe it.
they won't be for long though.
No, they'll change the map. They'll
Yep, they'll
change the
change the
map.
map. So, if you're looking and you want to do a no down payment program, you're not a veteran, USDA might be a really good way to go. So,
Well, it's so you have your interest rates are competitive with everything else.
mhm,
Your PMI is much lower. It's called a guarantee fee, right?
uh-huh,
It's much lower. It's 1%. And then the monthly mortgage insurance is a quarter of what it would be on an FHA or a conventional loan. So
right.
all the way around, you're getting in for no money down, and you have competitive rate with um, with reduced mortgage insurance. I
Mhm,
mean, you can't go wrong. The seller can pay up to 6% towards closing costs. That's a lot of
great.
money,
It's a lot of
right?
money.
It's a lot of money. So there's no reason that you couldn't get in for almost no money out of pocket. Maybe your escrow deposit and your appraisal, everything else you should be able to wrap into it. So, but if
Yeah.
you would like to know whether a particular property is qualified for it, go to my website at webringyouhome.com, go to my loan programs page and scroll down to USDA, and it'll bring you right to their website. You punch
Yep.
in the address of the property, and it'll
Yep.
tell you if it's eligible or ineligible.
It's honestly one of the few things that I've seen, that in FEMA, the FEMA maps, where everything works great.
It does.
It does.
But what is odd about it is you could have a house on one side of the street that qualifies and the one across the street does not qualify.
Sure.
These maps
Sure.
are precise.
They are absolutely precise. It is
They're
literally by
precise.
address. Yep.
But I'll tell you what, if I had a listing and I did not double check to make sure it was USDA qualified, that
Mhm.
would be a mistake because
I do it every time, unless it's in a city. If it's in the literal city bounds of Altamont Springs or Maitland or something like that, I know it's not. But
right.
anything else, I'm checking just to make sure.
Well, then you can put a sign rider that says 100% financing available, and you'll get all
Absolutely.
kinds of calls on that.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Plus, in the MLS, we get to check what kind of financing is available, and there's some people that are searching for that kind of financing because they need it. So,
Right. And for you low down payment buyers, FHA, 3% conventional, USDA or VA, now is the best time for you to buy. If you wait to buy for interest rates to drop, you are going to be pushed out of the market because right now you have an opportunity to negotiate closing costs with the seller, maybe even negotiate purchase price. I always suggest negotiating closing costs because they're dollar for dollar out of pocket
yep.
rather than the purchase price.
Yep.
So, but right now you can do it and sellers will accept them. But when you wait for interest rates to drop and then we have a demand on the market, no seller, they're going to be looking for the buyer that's got 20% down and a high credit
Mhm.
score,
Yep.
and you're not going to have an opportunity. So now is a great opportunity. We can always refinance later when rates drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of rates, we got like a minute left. I know they're staying pretty flat. I've seen people get approved recently for 6.5 and 6 3/4.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, yeah. You can get your rates have been holding steady. You're anywhere from the mid sixes. I even locked a 15-year low in the low year loan in the low sixes. So
wow?
yeah, right now I think you're. I'm running. I see probably 6 3/4 being more of the norm,
Sure.
uh, with about a point to a point and a half. And you can get it lower. Be cautious on paying too much in way of points, guys. I don't recommend it. And then one more thing, that there is a upswing in fraud
Oh
for
yeah, yeah.
for people that are supplying leases on their home to help them qualify. So most of these are what's called departing leases. So I own a home, I want to keep it. I don't qualify by keeping it to buy the new house. So I put a lease on my current home. Well, that lease has got to be documented. It's got to be a bona fide lease. There has to be a deposit into your account that's verifiable from a non-family member. You can't get your son and daughter to rent your home. It's got to be from a non-family member that has a legitimate deposit into your account. And they're going to verify that. And these accounts are going to be, and these loans will be audited. So there's an alert that it's on the increase. People are always trying to, find a way to beat the system. And
People are sneaky.
the system finds out and then they change everything.
Yep.
So,
People can be sneaky for sure. So,
yeah.
all right. So no. Be careful with your departing leases. Don't try to trick the government. They're going to be.
Don't ever commit fraud on a mortgage. Just don't do it. It's just the rule number one. Because listen, that's not local jail time. That's federal prison time. All right. It's not. You don't want to mess around with these guys.
No. You're not going to county lockup, right?
Yeah, there was a realtor that we knew they were sending us loans, and we found out that a lot of the things they were doing were fraudulent. They were making up tax returns. They were making up pay stubs. They were creating employers. They were printing W-2s. We knew it. We saw it. We turned it in, and she got popped. Her husband got popped, and she was an attorney, and they're doing some serious jail time. I think she got sentenced to 30 years. I don't know how much she'll do.
Right.
30 years jail time for all the offenses. So listen, it's not worth it. It's never worth it. Just fix the system. We'll tell you how to fix it. We'll fix your income. We'll fix your credit.
There you go, man. There you go. Don't try to trick the government.
No,
Bruce, it's been a pleasure. I've got to get. I know you've got to get. We both have a little bit of work to do today.
Yep.
So I hope you have a great week.
Yep. And thank you for helping my client. I sent over to you last week. I'm really looking forward to seeing a contract written on them.
You should be getting them this week.